large megaphone to say good morning, Kansans. We are here this morning to press our case to Congress that complex issues involving every single person in this country deserve comprehensive and thoughtful conversation and discussion and ultimately responsive legislation. And we're going to do that. But because of Senator Moran's position change last night, or articulation last night, I want beforehand to say thank you, Senator Jerry Moran. So one of the things that we know is doing more with less is a very unlikely has very unlikely outcomes that have been described by the Senate leadership. One of the pieces of graphic that I love that has been circulating in the last few weeks is an angry elephant and a happy, scared little donkey. Or obstinate looking donkey, and it had the length of time that average bills under ACA average hearings were held, 35 weeks, over 169 hours of open debate over 25 days. 160 GOP changes and amendments were offered up and put into ACA. Under the BCRA, the Better Care, if you can call it that, Reconciliation Act, the length of time the text of the bill was available for review was 1 week, and it had big goose eggs for every other element. No discussion, no hearings, no amendments. So what I think that tells me is that we know for ourselves, and we know now from our senator, that he believes that discussion and debate on these serious issues deserve serious time. And I'm glad that he represents me in that. I also have a quote from him from December 1st of 2016. This is Jerry Moran. "We can't pull the rug out from under people who have been, in many instances, forced into Obamacare. I am of the view," he said, "that we cannot pull the rug out from those people because this will leave them out of health care. So this will take some time to make certain that we protect people and their health care." So while I disagree with him that people were forced into Obamacare, it fails to recall the fact that many of us were unable to sustain the kind of premiums and make do with the kinds of limited options under the coverage we did get. And so today I have a number of speakers who will talk to us about the effect of ACA on their lives. And I want to start with Mark Reed.
Fully trained in
It's on, you just hold it right up to you.
Okay, here we go. Good morning, my name is Mark Reed. I'm with the Mainstream Coalition. Over the last 3-4 weeks, myself and my son have attended all 4 of Jerry Moran's town hall meetings to press the case that this was poor legislation and it would decimate the people that he claims that he really cares about, those in rural communities. So, like yourself, we were ecstatic last night that he publicly came out and said that he was against repeal and replace with the BCRA bill. This morning the update is that at least 2 senators have come out and have voted, said that they would vote no against repeal only. So, this is another opportunity for Senator Moran to speak up, and he can again be the hero and be the 3rd vote that would kill repeal only. The couple of things that I thought would be insightful to share from the couple of days that I was with Senator Moran. At the end of the last meeting, in the last town hall, he pulled me aside and he indicated, he said, "You have no idea how much pressure that I'm under." And so you can guess between Senator McConnell and all the other groups that are pressuring them, it's up to us that we have to be the opposing force to keep sanity within the bill on that. The current CBO score of the legislation this morning is that they're looking at 36 million people would go without uninsurance if they just did a straight repeal. In the first year, insurance premiums would increase 25 million and then double thereafter. So if you thought the VCRA bill was awful, this is horrific. The last point that I'll share, I thought it was insightful. He had read every newspaper and read every comment and criticism about him from every town hall. So what we're doing here today and what we're going to continue to do in the days to come makes a difference. He's aware of it, and it's making an impact on how he acts.
So that's chant-worthy. Chanting maybe protect our care, save our health. 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 So is Sarah Jacobs here? Sarah, make it out? Okay. So Sheldon, that puts you up.
Yes,
all right, Sheldon.
Thank you. You know, we've been thanking Senator Moran, and I join in that, but I want to thank all of you too, because you guys are the ones who did this. You know, I think this is a message to all of us that advocacy and organizing and policy really matter. It makes a difference. Now, there's other health issues coming on the horizon. We have a new budget that they're talking about in Congress. We have reauthorization of the Children's Health Insurance Program, so we still have to be advocating on those issues. And of course, as Mark just said, we have this movement now to just repeal and delay the ACA. Now, make no mistake about this, repeal and delay means repeal. There's no replacement for this. They've had 7 years to come up with the replacement, and they don't have it. You know, I saw this, I stole this from someone on Twitter this morning. You know, having repeal with no replace is kind of like the heart surgeon saying to you, I can't do a transplant, so I'll just remove your heart. There's no donor. Well, we can't go in that direction. Repeal means fewer people will be covered. Is that what we want? No. Repeal means higher insurance premiums. Is that what we want? No. Repeal means going back to the days of junk insurance plans and annual limits. Is that what we want? No. We want more people covered, not less. We want lower costs, not higher costs. And so we're going to ask Senator Moran to continue listening to his constituents, continue listening to Kansans who are telling him to keep what works, fix what doesn't work, and move forward and not backward.
Right.
Sheldon, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So, no hearing, no vote, no cramming this bill down our throat. Right. No hearing, no bill, no vote, no cramming this bill down our throats. No hearing, no vote, no cramming this bill down our throats. All right, we have a new speaker with us this time. We were out here for the healthcare rally a couple of weeks ago, and I was remiss in not dragging my friend Modi Reber out to enlighten us, but I have an amazing voice for you to hear today. Modi?
So I have two things that I want to start off with. One is resistance works. Resistance works. That's the reason why this happened, is because of the actions of millions of people all over the country going to their senators, going to Senator Moran and telling him not to take away people's health care. And he listened. And that's great. Resistance works. And the second thing I want to say specifically about this issue is that health care is a human right. Access to health care is a human right. All this talk about ACA and all this kind of stuff doesn't take into account the fact that human beings need access to health care, and that taking away their health care for the sake of tax cuts for the very few is not a moral choice. It is not moral public policy, and it must not stand, and fortunately today it doesn't stand. So I want to thank you for your resistance, and I want to thank Senator Moran for doing the right thing today. But it's not over yet, because first of all, we still have this repeal and delay thing that's got to go down today. Hopefully it'll go down by the time we're done in flames today. That'll be great. The costs of it are very clear, as other people have said. But the other thing is that we have to remember that that Trump, in pique and fury, will attempt to undermine and sabotage the ACA, primarily by delaying payments and not enforcing the individual mandate. We've seen this already starting to happen, and he's certainly not above anything. He's not above doing something about this to undermine. So Jerry Moran needs to live up to his place now, his role as a leader on this issue, which he's now put himself in the position to be a leader on this issue. And what we need is a bipartisan fix for whatever is wrong with the ACA. And we need to tell the president that the country supports the ACA, and we don't want it undermined by his chicanery or his, false actions. Fix the ACA on a bipartisan basis. That's what we have to ask for. So Jerry Moran did the right thing yesterday, but we're now in a position where we need to demand that he does the right thing today and tomorrow and for the rest of his time in public office.
Right.
And we need to demand that of all of our leaders. What we need to demand is that they bring compassion, that they bring morality, that they bring a true respect for life. Not a talking point, but a true respect for life back into public policy. And if you won't do it, then we'll get some leaders who will. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Modi Reber. That is the voice of morality. So I am happy to call Courtney Eidrich up. Courtney has a very compelling story you may have heard, and I'll let her share.
Thank you again for listening to me, and thank you all for being here. This is a group effort. Just me knocking Senator Moran's door isn't going to help, and I really, really appreciate everybody's passion and dedication to healthcare for all. I live with multiple sclerosis. I have for the last 10 years, and prior to the ACA, my family and I paid exorbitant amounts of money for premiums, $2,300 a month for my family of 5. And when the ACA was passed, that cut in half. And while it's still really expensive for us to have health care, it is nothing like it was before. And I am so thankful that our senator is the one to take this down. The VRCA is not a good bill, nor is the AHCA. And while we're still not done, this is a fantastic start. And we just need to keep putting pressure on and making sure that we just don't go to a straight repeal, because I live with a chronic illness. I live with an illness that doesn't have a cure, and I will lifetime cap out. And so what's going to happen is, last week we got our letter from Blue Cross telling us we're not going to have insurance after January. So what they're ultimately putting me in a place is, I'm going to end up on disability sooner than I need to be. I mean, I'm 10 years in, I'm doing fantastic, but I'm not ready to not work or not be put in that situation, and I don't want them to push me there. I also want to thank the senator for his Twitter comments last night, were that he was advocating for an open and transparent dialogue about this bill. And I'm so glad that he has come out and stepped up for that, because what that really means is that gives everybody a seat at the table to make amendments and to make it right. And I want to make sure that not only do I have access to health care, but I want to make sure that I can afford it. Because access doesn't mean affordability. And so at the end of the day, we've got to figure out how to get our health care to a place where people can get what they need and not be put into bankruptcy type scenarios. I think that's all I've got today. I appreciate it. It's been a long morning.
So unfortunately, in the half hour that we've been sitting here and we've got media beaming out our thanks and support to Senator Moran, we have come to learn that Senator Moran has agreed to support the repeal altogether of ACA with no replacement. So that was the deal he cut with Leader McConnell, and you kind of knew there had to be something, right? So the pressure is important, and we're going to step it up, and we're going to put the word out, and it won't take much. When you hear a story like Courtney's that's as compelling and as understandable and as compact and succinct as you need to get it, you really don't need too many more stories. Unfortunately, there are about, 360 million of those stories around the country. So we all need health care. And to pull this trick is really the height of politics, and it's why so many people are turned off, and it's why we're going to show them how grassroots activism is going to turn us all right back on. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Elise Higgins from Planned Parenthood.
Thank you.
Well, that changes my speech a little. All right. How many of you are still fired up? I'm sorry, one more time because I'm not totally sure the Moran staff heard you. Are you fired up?
Yeah!
Do you stand with Planned Parenthood? Yeah! All right. How many of you have ever visited a Planned Parenthood health center in your life? Let me see a show of hands. How many of you love someone who has been to a Planned Parenthood health center? That's right. That's almost the entire crowd. That is why it is so important that we do not leave any of us behind in this conversation about healthcare, right? We're talking about folks with MS. We're talking about folks with disabilities. We're talking about the elderly. And we're talking about young women and families who rely on Planned Parenthood every single day for birth control, for cancer screenings, for basic healthcare that keeps them alive. Did you know that more than half of Planned Parenthood health centers are in rural areas or places that don't have enough healthcare providers? It's true, y'all. It's true. We're there to fill the greatest need, and that's especially true in Wichita, where we see folks from all across the state. We've got folks coming to us from Southwest Kansas because they can't get the kind of specialized sexual and reproductive health care that they need where they live. Senator Moran has heard these folks' voices, right? Yep. He says he cares about the health care of rural Kansans. Well, you better believe that includes Planned Parenthood patients. You better believe that includes people with MS. You better believe that includes people with disabilities and the elderly and all of us who rely on Obamacare to keep us healthy and alive. Yeah. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. So are we going to sit down? Are we going to be discouraged by what Senator Moran has done today? No. No, we are not. No, we are not. We keep fighting forward. We keep fighting with our values at the center, with our integrity at the forefront. We fight to make sure that no one gets left behind. Not Planned Parenthood, not folks with disabilities, not anybody else who needs access to health care, because it is a human right. Yes. Ad astra per aspera.
So there's just one other angle I got to throw out there to you all, and we're in front of a bank, so why not? There's an economic point to all of this. If Courtney's not able to work, then she's not able to pay taxes. If she's not putting into the system, she's taking out of the system. Is that creating more problems for the rest of the people left in it? Of course, and that's why you have things like insurance. That's how it works in the auto insurance market. That's how it works for our home insurance and for, crop insurance. Fields are right around us. So the economic issues that pertain to all of us pertain also to health care. And what we need to press on our senators and on our representatives is that we get that it's difficult. And if they need help figuring out how to get through the weeds, we will be right there with them to help figure it out. Thank you so much for coming out today. Please be sure and stop up in the office if you have something you want to say to the staff. Joe, Michelle, Lisa, they're all there. We also have a campaign release, a campaign pledge release form. So from Congressman Yoder up the road, I hear often, I was elected to repeal ACA. and we also hear it now. We hear it from our senator. And so we have created a pledge release form. This is something that you can read through, and it says, Senator or Congressman, I am your constituent, and I release you from this monstrous pledge to repeal health care coverage, and that should free you up to do the heavy lift and to do the kind of work you need to do. So Sheldon's passing around. I printed out about 40 of them. We have them up on Action Network for Indivisible KC. You can download your own copy, sign it, put your address on it, and turn it into the senators' offices and to the representatives' offices, and you let them know that they do not have to hold on to false pledges and false ideas that were pitched in campaigns that didn't seem to have any real grounding in reality. And now in today's reality, you're releasing them to go do the hard work. Please sign your pledge, take it upstairs. Thank you so much. Thank you.